Yes, please. I love you. Oops. Oh, hey. Hello.
Hey, Charles.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Very good, thanks. Nice to see
Oh,
you. Okay, my hair
turn
is
my...
very crazy. I've been wearing a hat all morning.
You've been out and about, have you?
Yeah, just running around our 3D printer, which for the prototype sort of 3D printing manufacturing setup arrived
I saw
yesterday.
that. So you
Oh,
got your new
it's
toy.
so exciting. I now have to learn Mandarin to start working the
To read the
assembly
instructions.
instructions. But yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real well,
So
it's
is
a big
this where
step
you can
for
now,
me.
is this where now you can reduce a couple of days worth of work down to a couple of hours with this
No,
new...
not really. I mean, it's actually
Oh,
going to be an exorbitant amount of work now. Uh, I think that's the right word. It's going to be a lot of work. Oops, a box of Sharpies. Okay, because I have to put it together, then I have to start extruding filament from our biomaterials because it comes in pellet form, which is such a painful step. Why can't they just send me filament? Because big machine can extrude filament all day in a proper factory. Why I'm doing it is mad. But that's the situation. And then I have to start doing test prints with it. And it takes 2 days to print one panel rather than the system that I've designed, but cannot yet afford.
right.
But it is way more affordable. It's not 250,000s, it's 25,000s. And
Bargain.
bargain, you know what? Who wants one? Who wants one? Exactly. So that's what I'm hoping that I can show. Look, with this Chinese craziness and all this madness, we can still print structures with it. People can get inside, see what it's like in the wind, see what it's like in the rain, and then maybe we'll be like, all right, let's build some serious industrial 3D printers. So that's kind of the snapshot of my life.
It's fascinating.
It's
I mean, I have, even when we first started conversing, I was kind of looking on various different videos and whatnot, and then I've obviously been looking at your Instagram, and it's just awesome, isn't it? All the stuff is just, it's just
well,
everything's in the right place,
yeah,
exactly
there's
where it
lots
should
of
be.
cool things happening at the same time, really, and all the stuff that I'm involved in tends to get a bit epic in the realm of, is he just full of bullshit, basically? Is he a liar? It's so good. It's so good. Like, I just gravitate towards epic, and then I put epic with epic, and then it's like
Yeah.
ultra epic, super
I'm like, is he going to ask for my account details and the last 3 digits of my CVV code, you know?
I always ask for people's account details because I'm sending everyone money. Unfortunately, I haven't worked out how to get everyone sending me money yet, but I
No.
seem to be sending everyone else money.
But you've done quite well with the crowdfunding. So you said you think you raised 10, didn't you?
10,000.
10,000. That's awesome.
That's not very good. A lot of it came from my very close friends and family, in the first few days. I had a bit of an issue. I wasn't using Instagram at the time or Facebook because Instagram and Facebook refused to take down Holocaust denial groups. I just felt like I can't eat meat. I was like, I can't use Facebook. I just can't touch something that won't stop this abhorrent behavior. And so I did it via email. And I think that's why my email ended up in your junk box, because I was, starting to email, like literally made a list of all of the ecological organizations around the world. And didn't do very well, to be honest, but I think that I just keep launching at the problem. And
I'm assuming you probably, I mean, again, it's a bit of a dead end, but I mean, local authorities, government, councils, I mean, surely they should be, even just for the PR, I mean, surely they should be all over this, right?
well, it's just what I say. Surely they should, definitely. If that's what you
What's
think,
wrong with
okay.
people?
What is wrong with everybody?
We're
That's
trying to
what
save the world here, people. Come on.
I know. I think everyone wants to kind of see the structure. I get a lot of feedback. Well, let's see one. Like, well, I can't afford to build the printer, So this printer from China costs $6,000, and it's as big as you can go for that amount of money. It's about the same speed as a desktop 3D printer, unfortunately, but at least with our materials, I can build some life-size structures, show people, and keep having these build parties, keep having these parties to raise the money. This is how in the past I've raised money, but I've never raised that much. I raised $15,000 to publish books. I raised 100 grand one time to do a conference at Parliament on live stuff with climate change. And one family member has said, like, okay, look, I want to support you, by rather than you doing this all on your own, you can hire someone who's like got experience in taking a business from concept to some kind of investable proposition, and can sort of be the back end of the operations, not so much operations because that's confusing because we're building and operating camps, but more kind of like a COO kind of role. Again, that's a bit of a confusing title because we are in manufacture, and in manufacture, COOs tend to be like very hands-on, from what little I know, in logistics. But I'm thinking more of a role that is basically helping to, on the business side of things, get things up so that our accounts and all that kind of stuff is managed, bookings and stuff is managed, the information on the website and everything, and who's working on the website, things are just working, you know, all the bits that we need are working. And if at the moment I'm training the web guy who's supposed to be a full stack developer how to build the website, and it's much quicker if I just do it myself. And he's got he's got an attitude, you know. And
what are you using? WordPress, Charles?
no, I'm
Or
using
Wix?
Webflow, and I'm using
Okay.
Zapier, and I'm using Airtable to build a member stack integration so that you can log in either as a member of staff and get access to some certain feeds that are just for staff. You can post your own journal updates. I call them journal entries. So people like interns I've got are going to start generating content as like our marketing and SEO. But then I also want members to be able to sign up in membership, tier 1, 2, 3, different rates each month. And they get a certain number of nights stay. And all of these contributions which people are making are recorded, and we can start to do share options according to that. So it's a complicated thing to do. I understand how to do it. I'm trying to tell this guy how to do it. He's supposed to be a web developer, and I'm just ending up like week after week. Why aren't you fucking any further along with this? Well, you know, what can I say? It's someone else's software. And he's just making excuses. So I've turned off all of his access to our thing right now because I'm tired of it, and I'm just going to do it myself. But this is a problem I experience quite a lot. I think because I'm quite spoiled and I've got access and time, and I've got my house. I'm renting rooms in my house in London, and from my mum's house, basically. I've scared everyone out of the house. I'm renting all the rooms. With the income from that, I've got this property here. I can only just about afford to heat the house this year, which is quite a step forwards for me. I used to live in the woods and domes and teepees, which are in the gardens here, but now I have a house. It's a big step for me. And it's frozen. Are you there? Yeah, you're still there. Yeah. So I have a lot of time. I live on my own, and I can really get into stuff really deeply and work out how to do it as cheaply and as sensibly as possible. I think that's a real luxury. Like, not many people have that time. So
no,
I tend to get really pissed off with people, and I'm like, why is it so not sensible? And they're like, what do you mean? I don't have any time. This is the best I can do. I don't shout, but I find it's often easier if I just do it myself. So I have become quite on my own, but now everyone is coming to the project, coming to me saying, we want to camp in Barcelona, we want to camp in South Africa, we want to camps all over the place. People are coming, and it's going to start getting to a stage where I really do need help to kind of manage all the meetings and manage all the information that's coming in and keep it organized so that it's actually valuable, you know, rather than just a mess.
So what I was trying to understand as well, because I think I saw through the email, I clicked on a link and I saw a video about the one, is it in West Wittering?
Yeah, that's where I am.
That's where you are now?
Yeah.
And then I also saw a post today on Instagram, and that was on Devon. But these are all concepts at the moment. Nothing, you don't actually have a camp, so to speak.
I've got 15 places, which I'm going to start publishing all these little short videos, which is about each site. And I'm building up. So my kind of strategy is that I don't have the money now. I can build a structure that shows here's what one looks like on a really slow 3D printer. But here's our plan for a absolutely amazing 3D printer that can print not one panel in 2 days, but one panel in 2 hours. So we've got our manufacture thing sorted out, and here are business plans ready-made for a bunch of camps. With my financial model that I built with Sinesh Shah, who's a top CFO.
I saw that.
He's
Yeah.
you know Sinesh.
I'm familiar just because I several years ago I actually built a school in my local community, and it was all part of the DFE, the funding, and it's to do with preschoolers, with parents having the 30 hours free funding for childcare. So I'm familiar with him. I don't know him per se. I'm aware of him and the work that he's done, and he raised a shitload of money, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Cool.
Like, how many millions? I can't remember now, but yeah, it was millions. So it's like,
yeah,
I want to say 60, or was it 600 million? I don't know. I can't remember.
This is the thing. I thought it was some really small figure, like for 900 million, and he built 49 schools around the UK or something.
That's it. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Makes my attempt seem quite humble. One, Berkshire.
He's a really sweet guy. I was on the phone to him yesterday, and he's like, "Look, I'm going to become your accountant. Send me all your stuff because my accounts are in a mess." And the crook in Portsmouth, who I use because he's a crook and he can hide all of my personal stuff, which is useful when you're living in the woods and you don't need to be paying all of this stuff because
it's mad.
Anyway, but it's not good when you're actually trying to run a company. So. Anyway, to finish my train of thought, my explanation to your question, if I have these business plans with the financial model from Sinesh, I can do a design for a green camp, let's say, 4 little zone 6s with double beds in them, their own shower, toilet thing, and to plumb those in with the financial model, we can literally, we've got every nut and bolt costed. So we can work out the capital expenditure, the cost to build it. We can work out the operating expenditure based on 1 or 2 members of staff meeting and greeting people, tidying up after them, looking after the garden kind of thing. We can do a pretty accurate setup cost, operation cost, and then projected revenues dependent on occupancy and dependent on sort of seasonal discounts and stuff, right? Seasonal occupancy. So it's quite a high resolution thing. And even at 25% occupancy, we can show they're very, very profitable. They favor themselves in less than a year. And they're making like 250 grand a year for a camp that cost you 60 grand to build. So with these different case studies, I want to be able to show to potential investors who are kind of, getting more and more interested by watching the structures go up and stuff, like, look, here are the different places to do it. Some people are landowners who want them on their land, like Josh at Wasing Estate, where they have the Medicine Festival. He'll be our second video that's coming out. And then that's what I want, is to get investors for individual camps. They can get in on the revenue share, or we can get them on some kind of dividend scheme. But that involves quite a lot of business acumen to really start to have the business literacy to be able to even be able to know how to architect something like that, right? It doesn't have to be that complicated. We can give people share options in the company or something, but that's the kind of thing I would like to be doing. And to do it all on my own is probably unrealistic, because I'm just doing too much stuff then. I need help. So
send help.
Yeah, so I put out that job application. I had a really nice girl working with me, Terry, who was doing yoga. She was staying in my spare room in London. I rent out all the rooms there. So she was renting a room with her friend, turned the bottom floor into a yoga studio. She was doing yoga, came down here, but she just didn't have the kind of business experience. Like, she'd worked in loads. She was the nicest girl, and she would go to raves every weekend, come back on a come down, and the week after it'd be this emotional wreck. And I'd be like, darling, this is like, you can't be like, on every Monday morning, like nearly in tears all day. I'm doing my best. It's like, okay, but you're literally coming down at the desk. This is not doable.
It's not conducive, no.
So that didn't last too long, but it was very productive while we tried. Anyway, you can see the sort of mess that it is in. And you have amazing qualifications. Like, you really, really.
Well, I don't know about that, but.
Well, it looks good on paper. Is it like me? Make it sound really good by dropping lots of names.
I'm a salesperson. Blag. No, I've obviously I've got quite a broad experience. As you can probably see, it's mainly in technology, cybersecurity, managed services, very much in the tech corporate world. and I've done a large stint at IBM, 5 to 6 years. I've worked for startups where I've been one of 2 people, and we've grown the company to, pre-IPO stage. So I've worked in lots of different sized companies. I've worked for US software vendors. So I've got quite a broad amount of experience, but like I said, it's predominantly on the technology, security, managed services sector.
Okay.
I think where I've been quite conflicted is my own personal ethics, and I guess priorities are probably the complete opposite to that of the corporate world. But it's a means to an end. It's quite a lucrative job. It pays well. It's stable. It's secure. When I first came across your email, I was having a few discussions, and it's like, do you know what? In a way, you almost want this kind of opportunity to come up when you're 22 and you're living with your mum. You don't have any outgoings or responsibilities, but then you wouldn't have the acumen and the faculties to even do the job, as you were probably referring to that of a younger girl. Lots of can-do attitude, but you actually need somebody with a bit of experience and a bit of
I get
know-how.
that all day long. People are like, what a wonderful idea.
I'll help.
I got, and then they sit there and they're like, and then I'm like, why aren't you doing this? What is going on? Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You have to do it properly. And then, it's all the goodwill in the world, but to have experience in being able to execute on very complicated things, or relatively complicated is key. So tell me a bit more about you, please. Like, what's your where are you in the world? And you've got some kids I saw on your thing. Where are you based?
So I'm in Reading, in
Cool,
Berkshire.
Okay.
No. You probably will know Reading Festival, don't you? Seeing as you're a festival girl.
I'm not really a festival guy. I ran away from Glastonbury when they gave me free tickets. I was like,
really?
oh, this is hell. Like, it was, I regret it, but I can be, anyway, I prefer the peace and quiet, really.
No, I've been once, and to be honest, it rained every single day. I can imagine it's probably, it was still awesome. The experience and just the kind of, there's nothing like it, is there? It's phenomenal. But yeah, it bloody rained every day. It was like a bog. It was awful.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy that. I'd like to glamp it. Glamping would be fine. Yeah, give me a shower, give me a working toilet.
Exactly.
And a dry bed. Whereas you kind of wake up in a bit of mud and your wellies floating by your face, and you're like, Jesus Christ, how did I get here? But yeah, so I live in Reading, 2 children, 6 and 8. I have a partner at home, so we've got a nice little setup. My children have shared custody with their father, so I have them 50% of the time, because it was one of the questions I was going to raise with you, because obviously there's going to be a vast amount of traveling, I'm assuming, with going onto site, and they're all kind of coastal resorts. So again, it was kind of one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, I guess, the suitability of the role and how much traveling and how much would you expect me to be on site? Would it be 5 days a week in Devon and West Wittering? Because
no, I mean, ideally, I would like to set up an office. I mean, this is the thing that I'm finding really tricky now. Is originally I was in London, and that was cool because Thierry was living there and turning the bottom floor into like a yoga studio, and my lazy ass was like needed to do some exercise, and it was a really nice professional relationship with Thierry. Like, we really got on well. I just was always kind of excusing a lot of stuff until it just kind of built up, and I was like, mate, this is insane now. So while I was in London, I thought the idea is if we built that kind of as the yoga situation there, or fitness lessons and stuff, and then we could bring people down to here. It's quite bodgy, sort of homemade scale that we're at now, and it's kind of nice to be at that very sort of domestic, illegal essentially, because we can't run a business out of a bottom floor of our home in Warfield Street in London or here. But the landlord, I'm the landlord there, but the landlord here is kind of turning a blind eye to it. I've written to him, but it's not by any means official, and I can't advertise it on Airbnb, for example. So it's that kind of unofficial level of things. And Thierry was working for 10 quid an hour. She was overjoyed to be working for 10 quid an hour. And it was really, really sweet. So that fitted quite well, but it's not quite good enough really for to justify the amount of energy put into it. So now COVID has happened and I'm based down here. I've got the 3D printer here. I feel like clear all the furniture out of this office, which is now basically a storage room, and to be able to make an office which is like, stuff is happening here. I wanted to rent a space, an industrial space at the local boatyard, where we have an office there. It's got a little kitchen unit and it's got a space in the factory, which we can rent and build the big robot in there. That means that the guys from the boatyard can get work and they can operate the machines once I kind of train them up. And then someone can be there kind of in charge of manufacturing. And I'd be going there every day. But the guys at the boatyard always trying to cut me out and take the technology off me. They're famously horrible people. Like the guy, all the guys I know who have been working there have moved out, and that was my original plan. So with the crowdfunding campaign not being successful enough to set up at the boatyard and cover the cost of renting another space, it's all just going on in my garage, which does put it in this strange place of like working out of my home. It's not really an office, right?
But I think that's what we're all doing at the moment, though, isn't it?
Okay, right, exactly. But I mean, my feeling is, one thing, it would be quite good if I could get people here, and we do have people working every day, like pushing it forwards, or at least sometimes there's like people coming together to be together working. There's nothing as productive as that, as I've found. But my feeling is with you, because you are so experienced and it is more in this kind of business architecture acumen that you have, that maybe we could find some kind of a way to cooperate there. And then you can be like with your microphone, like, oh yeah, calling in Cloud-Based 9.
How can I direct your call?
You know, not so much like that, but like directing the troops sort of thing. Like, you know, on the switchboards back here, you know, platoon 1 needs to advance to Devon. It needs a quick attention or something. I mean, you know, if you can help direct the troops and stuff like that, and then I can turn to you and go, what's going on? Where is everything and everyone? And you can be like, here it is, it's over there. And I can go and, you know, charge kind of thing, build, do it and run around. But then you know where everything is and can keep it organized, you know. That would be really cool. Then you can stay home, stay chilled. Just help us to organize. And I can show you a bit about how we're organizing at the moment using our Trello board, our Scrum board.
Good old Trello. I use Trello. So the company previous to the one I work for now was a project intelligence company, and everything was Trello.
Really?
So I'm quite familiar with Trello.
Brilliant.
Fortunately, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I can just give you a bit more of this overview thing, because I think, oh, great, I want to work with everyone, and I talk to them, and then afterwards I'm like, you know, write me back a letter if you think you would like to work with us and what you would like to, and quite often they don't write back. So I'm sure you could work for anyone that you wanted with the skills that you have. But if you don't mind, I would like to show you a bit more of my mess.
I'd love to see it.
And then if you're like, okay, this is manageable.
If the line goes dead,
that means it's too much mess. Okay, so right. Oh, I have to share the screen. Okay, share screen. Share. Can you see the screen?
I can.
Fantastic. Okay, so here's our Scrum board, which our to-do list is here. The stuff that's most important, shit, that needs to go up. I need to send the rewards out. Where is that?
That's a long list.
Oh my gosh. So every day I'm kind of chucking stuff into the daily doing column, and some stuff is in the weekly column.
I was going to ask you actually, Charles, what's happening in Italy? You said you had your daily Scrum with Italy.
Yeah.
Is that for a site? Is that for a campsite?
Yeah. So in Italy, this is where we keep all of our information about the different sites we're reviewing in the campsite review column. So here it's with this amazing group. There's a web page dedicated to it, create.green/location/Asher. And if you're logged in as a member, whoa, what just happened here? This is
I think you put create in, it was a typo.
.green/location/Asher. So Asher is the Alchemical School of Healing Arts. And normally when someone puts the word alchemy into their product or service name, it means they don't really know what they're doing. But I think that's my opinion anyway. But these guys, I think, are amazing. And their breathwork school is using it artistically, I think, that name. Not very technically. But basically, they own a bunch of land up there, and they're like renting out properties in this sort of abandoned town. And It's a great group. So we're having weekly meetings now where we're looking at the maps of the site. They're talking about, okay, we want a community center here, some places for accommodation there. Here's our planning application process that we're underway at. And these location pages is where we can either follow development of our planning process, or as per the location page for where I'm at now, we'll be following the building process. And then we can, here it has, so location, if I go to the Eleanor page, you can see that each, it's got the team members who are involved here. Each page you can tag different team members, stick different gallery images, and then you can add products, which I've added the bedrooms that are here. If I want to do a sweat lodge weekend or something.
And that's where you are now, isn't it?
Yeah. People can book on like that. And then the programs, if they want to do a specific program, yoga teacher training, vegan fitness, submit their own program. There's a form they can fill in, or this is the one I'm focusing everything on now, is a monthly weekend where we come together. It's going to mostly be team members to start off with, and we're going to be trying stuff out on each other, yoga, food, meditation stuff, building stuff together, gardening together. And then if we build up a bit of eventually open up to the public, then we can start to branch off and have a yoga weekend where it's just focused on yoga, or a vegan fitness weekend. But it takes a lot just to get one weekend going. So I want to kind of focus it. Anyway, that's Italy, but I'll try and just show you the backlog, how it works. Those are our to-do tasks in our Scrum meetings. We either have them weekly or twice a week, or if I'm working with someone and like they're on the main team, it's like twice a day, morning and evening, beginning and end of the sprint. And then we assign tasks, stick them in the doing column. There's two. There's a weekly doing column and a daily doing column. And then there's these are like filing cabinets. The way I use these other columns. I'm sure this isn't how you're supposed to use Trello, but if we're waiting for a response from external parties, then it goes in the waiting for a response from external parties thing. Key documents is like another filing cabinet where we keep like the company description. If people are writing emails or are trying to explain what the company's about, read from the same hymn sheet. So we're all saying the same thing. Contact list, there's Google Docs attached to most of these. Team bios of our team members. I've got some interns who are now generating articles. What's the greenest? Why is seaweed so green? Which is the greenest shampoo? And then they're writing articles, they're essays, they're students, and that's going to connect to other companies, hopefully get some affiliate links and some cross-platform linking for our SEO. And that's like my kind of a marketing plan that I've got starting up. We've got products in the green store. We want to try and get things as close to the top as possible. Green means that it is live and it's on the site and it's available for sale. You can like do a transaction. Yellow needs attention. And purple is like just a concept stage, and red is like, whoop, there's something that really needs attention. Like this guy is talking to his algae plants, and you have to make friends with his algae production system before you can become a reseller. And I'm like, whoop, alert, crazy person alert, too crazy. Okay, the accounting section is where I chuck bills that I need to put into our spreadsheet, which basically includes all of my personal accounts and my company accounts, because all the money I'm earning through everything is going into Green Campus. Like that's how it's surviving right now. Sanesh is who I'm talking with, saying, mate, help me because this is getting really messy. I've got my own personal tax issues. I've never paid tax, basically, ever. I keep writing to accountants saying, why don't I pay tax? And they're like, oh, my accountant is so crooked. Anyway, Sanesh is helping me with this. And as money is starting to come to Green Campus, we're sorting that out. So that's there. If you want to have a click around, you're welcome. It's not that exciting. Okay, documents and legal contracts, things like NDAs, non-circumvention agreements, rental agreements and stuff like that we're developing for like people. If we've got introducer agreements, all kinds of non-exclusivity things, which they're like, I am in charge of the Barcelona region. It's like, you don't have any land. No, you're not. You can help if you want, but you're not in charge. And then this campsite thing, again, at the top is the I think the priority. There's one in Devon, is an amazing site. The guys are so positive. They're all vegan. They're like, let's build a camp. So we meet once a week. I'm supposed to get down there to fly the drone over the site, and then I can make a 3D model out of that footage, and then I can start to design onto the site, use the financial model to do the setup cost, operational cost, and projected revenues, even at very low occupancy. And they have very high occupancy there, like 100% occupancy. Everyone's going to Cornwall apparently. And so we're all very excited about that.
Well, I was going to ask you actually, quickly just interrupting, who does your kind of 3D walkthroughs and
me? I do everything.
And you do all the production and your videos?
Yeah. I can't afford to get someone else to do it, so I just teach myself everything. So I'm doing right now a project for Apple and the United Nations. I was like, my friends organize Glastonbury, and they can't do Glastonbury this year. So they've created this online festival environment. And my friends in South Africa do this thing called Reforestation Festival, where you turn up on Friday, have a bonfire and a little boogie, and then go to sleep. Up early on Saturday morning, everyone's planting trees, and you're getting taught about like trees and companion planting. And it's either a food forest, which is going to be over yielding polyculture, lots of yumminess, or it's going to be like some kind of like indigenous regeneration project where you're rewilding an area kind of. And at the end of Saturday, you've planted thousands of trees, and then you have a big party, and Sunday's more chill day where you can just like be in nature and enjoy yourselves. So I was trying to get this happening in England and bring them over to the EU with my friends who run Glastonbury. And they were like, we can't do it. We're doing this online platform. So I said, why don't we do this online reforestation festival? Reforest Fest online, and it's kind of snowballed. Everyone loves it. The United Nations has just endorsed it and said, we endorse this project because we'll be raising money with my friend Denzel who set up iTunes and things with Steve Jobs and still runs Apple Music. He's got all the biggest artists in the world who he can get on his events. So I was like, let's get Daft Punk and Bjork performing in our virtual utopia. And all the people who come and watch, they raise money for these United Nations Decade on Restoration projects. And everyone's like, yeah, fun idea. It's fun. But also in these worlds, when you stand next to someone else's avatar, you can talk and meet. So it's a way that you can meet. You can follow on how the projects that you're literally dancing into form, you're literally like fundraising. So I'm doing like, these are Microsoft Connect 3D cameras, making a volumetric capture stage here so that I can start to create assets. I'm working with these amazing architects who design all the stages for Burning Man and do amazing parametric design. And because I'm really into all this computer design and visualization stuff, I know how it kind of works. So I can now talk to all of these people who are building these online levels. And Google Mind, I've got these ecosystem simulation guys from these big Google projects. That thing is taking off really fast. I haven't got word back from Apple, but I definitely have to put that on the table of my mess because that's going really well. To answer your question, I'm involved in all that stuff like quite deeply.
There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, it's good fun though.
I'm sure you're loving life.
Well, it's now getting to a stage where normally it's just me like throwing out crazy ideas. It's now getting to a stage where people are like, yeah, okay. And I know how to do it. And so it can be done. And so we need to get the back end well organized. So the accounts, the timing, everything is really well organized. So we can be like, please speak to our CEO who's going to like organize that, get you booked in, sort you out with the right contracts. I've got a lot of help with people helping me do contracts for free who work for big organizations. And I don't know why so many people do stuff for free for me, but I need to start paying people. And with this offer from my family saying, look, we'll hire someone to just make sure that it's really well organized. And who has experience doing this stuff, who can help you and guide you and be like, you need to do this, that, and the other. But I think they're kidding themselves. One, they think I'm an absolute buffoon. But two, someone who isn't a buffoon will want a lot more than 15 quid an hour probably. And if they've got all those skills, they'll probably be doing it, running their own businesses and stuff. But I think to have someone to help as a COO is feasible, but how much do you think is a kind of, how much would you normally charge for what you're doing? It's not £15 an hour, I'm sure, is it?
No, I mean, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. So, no, I mean, most jobs I've taken have all been a kind of annual salary. You have a package, you have an OTO, you have commission, you have, you know, bonuses. These are all proper corporate jobs.
Yeah, I've never had a proper job.
No, and this is it, and this is what I've done for the last 20 years. So I'm 39 now, like literally straight from college, 19, went straight into IT sales.
Okay.
Made a shitload of money and then never looked back.
Okay.
But gradually, as time goes on, you kind of feel it just eating away at you slowly by slowly. And the people you work with and the purpose and, you know, the company mission. I mean, websites and corporations say what their company mission is, but when you actually get inside, you realize it's all about profit. It's all about how much money you can make. And every single day I realize that my job is to make rich people richer. And although I love technology, I love security, you know, artificial intelligence, computer learning, I'm fascinated with technology. But my role as a salesperson and a marketeer is to maximize profitability, right?
Yeah.
It's to generate revenues and profits for my company. And to also manage customers, manage accounts, and make sure people like us, continue to spend with us, are loyal. And the marketing side is all to do with brand awareness, to make sure people are aware of us, how they can find us, make sure we're reaching the right target audience. But I'll be honest with you, it doesn't mean anything. And there's always been this conflict with my personal life and my professional life, because I think half of me would love to be a hippie and go and live on a beach and just not have to earn any money. And I could just, you know, work with animals or the environment, or just basically work for a cause. But unfortunately, you know, living in Berkshire, living in Reading, you get on the property ladder, you start having bills, you have children, you have responsibilities, you have outgoings. And then it's kind of, well, without sounding dramatic, it can sometimes be a bit depressing, because you kind of become so disjointed from what you actually value and what's important to you.
That's happening to us whole society. Like, it's like a big time right now. People are like, oh, really?
And this is it. And I envy people when I mean, because I'm always looking at, you know, social media and YouTube for inspirational stories where people have broken out that rat race and they've gone and set up something. You know, I went to Salcombe on holiday and I was talking to this guy, and he set up his own little kayak business literally just on Salcombe Beach. And he was in the city. I think he was a trader, and he just moved his family to Salcombe. And I don't think they make a huge amount of money because it's very seasonal, hiring, you know, kayaks and whatnot, but they're just so happy. And I just thought, oh my, you know, it's that kind of, like, I just want to get out. I just want to escape. I just want to break free. So I've got to the stage now where I don't require that 6-figure salary to survive. I've got to a stage where I can survive on far less. I'm not in a position where I can volunteer and work pro bono. But what I've realized is the cost of living and the cost of my mental health and the cost of my happiness, and not just mine, but my family's happiness, is dependent on what I do 5 days a week. And at the moment, what I do 5 days a week is having an impact on my well-being, because I'm so aware of what's going on in the world, and because I'm quite angered by it and I want to do something. And I feel, you know, I look into volunteering, I look into spending my weekends. So I have weekends on and off with my kids. So every other weekend I'll have them. And I think maybe I can start volunteering on the weekends I don't have them. Or maybe I can work part-time and volunteer part-time. Can I afford to do that? Because I realize that I have to have purpose. I have to, because at the moment, you know, the big 40s this year, and I'm thinking, what have I done for 20 years? I mean, yeah, okay, I've bought a house and, you know, I have 2 beautiful children, but ultimately I want to be doing something bigger. I want a purpose. I would rather have far less and be doing far more, and to be content. And I watch the same videos of people just being so detached because of the world we live in. You know,
have
people
to numb yourself to manage with it.
Oh, and that's my problem. I don't want to keep, it's almost like being in the Matrix, isn't it? Like blue pill, red pill. And I'm fed up of taking those pills. So I want to take the other pill. You know?
It's going to be like working with Terry again. Taking
well, no, it won't be. Don't worry.
She's so lovely. I shouldn't say that.
Sorry. No, I'm joking. So when I registered my CV on vegan jobs, I've got a friend that she also was a marketeer in the IT sector, and she actually took the move over to the charity sector. So at the moment she works for Macmillan, and she's using her marketing experience to do fundraising and whatnot. So we had a few conversations, and I thought, if I am going to use my corporate knowledge and my sales and marketing expertise for a charitable or a non-profit sector, I want it to be something that I'm passionate about, because then it doesn't feel like work, right? Whereas now when I'm on back-to-back calls and I'm doing quotes for bloody, MPLS networks or SD-WAN networks, and I'm working till 8 or 9 o'clock, it's almost begrudged, because I'm doing it for the big cats, and they're cracking the whip, and all us little people are kind of going yes, no, and and I sat there and thought, when I'm actually doing something I'm passionate about, I can burn the midnight oil and I don't care, because I'm in the zone and I'm passionate and I'm happy. Because I've done it before when I've set up my own business, and I've done it before when I've worked for startups. I get quite into it, and I think when you believe in the cause and you're passionate about it, it doesn't become work.
It's the only way I can work. It's the only way that I can actually do anything, is if I'm like personally moved to do it because I love it. Like if I literally am so lazy, unless something is like the world is going to end and I love Mother Nature, it's like the only way that I'm going to start doing stuff. I sympathize.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And it's I am where I am, and the path I've taken is the path I've taken, and it's got me to a nice standard of living, and I'm happy with that. And like I said, I've now been fortunate enough to be able to maintain that standard of living for far less. So it's almost like I've had to sell my soul for 20 years to then be able to do something that's more.
Well, there's potentially a lot of money to be made in this, just in terms of like, I see this as incredibly lucrative. Like I was in my dome, which is now just the frame of it outside. I'm not sure if you can see, there's a funny dome there. Out the other window is the teepee, and we built one more dome in that little video, the guys from Devon, right? In my forest garden in Arundel. And they're very cheap to build, a couple of £100 and a few mates over a weekend. And once you kit them out with a very, 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 very basic sort of accommodation, we didn't have electricity, just candles. It was so beautiful in this space. You're surrounded by, there was like the trees were going under the dome and growing up. We had plants growing inside your room from the ground. We were on the forest floor, and people would pay £120 like a head sometimes, just to be able to book it for the weekend. You could make a couple of grand a weekend if you had 20 people there. And that's just 100%. Like one little pod that we built, one little thing. So there I realized, okay, I'm doing what I love, forest gardening, and I'm making a couple of grand a weekend. I started flying over to Sicily, looking at people's beautiful, like falling down houses. There's loads of falling down mansions there, but the gardens are still in amazing condition. So I was like, forget the mansion, we'll build some ponds in the garden. But the Duke and Duchess of Norfolk, who owned the land, were like, we're having a pheasant shoot here, and we're doing a fox hunt, and we don't want the vegans, and you on Facebook talking about how humans are parasites, how hunt foxes, and foxes aren't biologically technically parasites, and this is basically no, get off the land, we don't want this growing anymore. So I know it's capable of making money if you get access to the land, enough. So for you, I mean, what's popping up in my mind is if you were to be like, right, let me just say this bit first before I say that what I was going to say. I've got this house in London, which my mum, for some reason, has been giving all of this money to my sister forever. She's like, here's £400,000 from your grandmother. She's just died. I'm like, what about me? Never mind, Charlie. You live in South Africa. Here's all the money to you, Laura. And she's been buying her houses and apartments all over the place. Meanwhile, I'm living in a fucking tent in the woods. Like, what's going on here? I could really use anything. Anyway, so Laura's got her house and her kids and her partner over there, and my mum, I think, feeling a bit guilty, is like, all right, here's this house in London, you can have it in your name when I die or whatever. So I've spoken to people, if I mortgage that house, I can get a third of its value. So if it's worth £3 million, this little red brick terrace house in Battersea, might as well get on that, and get £1 million to buy like a farm, and use that money to build this 3D printer. If I could just stay self-financed, I could do it like that. And so we build the most amazing 3D printers. I can build a couple of green camps with that money. I can also have a headquarters, which is land that I own, like a farm. And I was thinking that like there's quite a few friends who want to go in and like maybe buy a bigger piece of land together where they have their own houses. And then there's like a green camp that everyone kind of runs together. The guys who want to do that with me are sort of silly, really, really silly. You know, I'm infuriating trying to import CBD medicines from America to Switzerland for the German government. Like, so it's like, don't tell the seller how much the buyer is paying. Just be the broker in the middle. Anyway, they're so honest that it's difficult to. That's a lot of money we're making. I'm like, shh, shh. Okay, they're very sweet people. You know, exactly the kind of people you would want to. Anyway, I'm not suggesting that we all move into a commune because that's crazy on a first conversation, but.
But let's all move into a commune.
Let's all move into a commune together. No, okay. But for just as an example, like of how I'm looking at this is I'll use Green Campus to pay the mortgage on a piece of land that I probably otherwise couldn't quite afford. And it will allow me to live out in the countryside, have a big bit of land, and I'll have these other camps, which I'm setting other people up like me, basically. So to get to what I was originally saying, for you, if you were to be like, all right, well, Green Camp is a way of
all
paying
right,
the mortgage.
Is that how I talk? Is that how I talk? All right.
No, that was how I talk. I didn't even realize I was doing an actor thing.
You said, so let's just say you go, all right then,
No.
Governor.
Okay.
I know I'm from Reading, Charles, but come on.
All right then. All right. Like, all right, I've got my Green Camp and I'm gonna do it real nice. I wasn't doing that. I was doing me. I was kind of like, if I was you, okay, all right. I didn't even realize I'm doing an accent. Okay, so all right, we're doing the camp is a way to pay the mortgage on a bit of land. You can then move out in the country, do your farm sanctuary, do your meditation weekends, your remedial nutrition juicing weekends for the local people with cancer, look after whoever needs looking after. You know, the Green Campus is a revenue generating mechanism to pay the mortgage on your land, to cover the bills. So because now you're creating accommodation spaces for people to come and they get a nice time in the countryside. That kind of runs itself in a way. It's once you've got it started, it's just a big Airbnb kind of thing. It's very simple, but it's in the woods, it's in the garden. So if you're helping to build up this company and do it, I really feel that was the good thing with Terry, is that she was like, look, I've got a piece of land in the countryside and my father doesn't know what to do with it, a couple of fields. She really got it. She really wanted to make a green camp on her family's land so that she could benefit from it. She can run her retreats there. And she knows how much more money she'll be making as someone who owns basically a little hotel, and how self-sufficient you're going to be, rather than just working as an assistant. So she was like, mate, I'll help you and you help me to do it over here. So that is where I would say the actual, and if you are going to help us to build this up, then the position I want to do share options for people. So it's like, all right, if you're going to help us get to these goals, then we sign a share options contract, you know, the shares become yours. So the same I want to do for even people who are coming and like becoming really committed members, is make a small section of share options available. So you come to Green Campus, we deploy a Green Campus on a piece of land. We say to people, the more you come there and you help run programs and you run the Green Campus, or you just come and you contribute, we'll keep a track record of all your contributions and you can transfer those into shares in the company. So the equation is, the more you come and you contribute at Green Campus, the more you earn shares in the company. It's complete opposite of like the feudal model, which is you work for me and I give you cash. The Republican Party in the United States fought the Civil War with Abe Lincoln trying to end slavery. He was also trying to end wage slavery, which is where you just work for a salary, right? He's trying to get people to get you're not getting anything real. You're not getting access to land, right? You don't own the land. I mean, you're going to be living hand to mouth, right? But the real value is if you get a share in something, and the real value is if you get a share on the land. Like, you can't do anything without the land. So I want to reward people in shares in the land for coming there and contributing to looking after it. And then we can use Green Campus to create these, essentially a real estate investment trust, a REIT, which is we are like McDonald's, but obviously completely opposite. But we're now basically taking land ownerships, very stable, appreciating assets, like the most stable asset. And we're using green camps to acquire lands. We're rewarding the people who come there with shares in the company. But that's the basic model. I mean, we're regenerating these lands with this, with our programs and with the campus. Once we're there, we can run the Eco-Village design curriculum, 4-week residential curriculum, where you like form into little groups and you start pitching to, at the end of the week, you pitch your green business plan. You're taught about how eco-villages work. And at the end of the 4 weeks, you pitch to the green dragons, like in Dragon's Den. Okay, here's our business plan. We're going to start a mushroom business in the woods over there. And people are designing little business models. So like maybe they stay and they do start to build these little green businesses, or at least they're starting to learn how to design green lifestyles for themselves. And we're leading the way with Green Campus is an example of how to do a green lifestyle. So we can work out how to live sustainably. So I would say for you, if you wanted the money thing, and even if you weren't that motivated by it, to create an example of making loads of cash. I'm not doing your impression of your voice, by the way. It doesn't sound anything like that, but like that's my voice. Okay, then I think that's what we should do, is create this really inspiring example of things. So, I mean, where do you live in there? Do you want to buy a big piece of land and then have lots of hippies there? Okay, cool. And would you like?
Where do I sign up? Yeah, I like 3.
Cool. You can have one in Ibiza. We got someone who's looking at land.
Wonderful.
Ibiza. But then as we get assets as a company, we can be like, where do we want to buy land? We could buy the best land and put in not just these funny 3D printed things, but natural builds, these amazing architects, second generation assets. We can do a small green camp just because we don't need planning permission. We get on the land, starts making money, paying the mortgage. But then at the Eco-Village design curriculum, we can design second generation assets. It's like nice hobbit homes and things.
I mean, we've just booked a holiday. I think it's called Yuli's Farm. And it's very hippie, it's very green, it's very vegan. I don't know, I can't remember what I'm paying now. It's something ridiculous, like £600, £700 for the weekend for me, my other half, 2 children. We've actually got a group of us, so I think we've got 5 in a row, and we're probably spending thousands between us. And it's just a teepee. It's a beautiful teepee. It's a very posh teepee. And I think we're paying close to like 180, 200. It probably work out about £180 per person. And you think I can get a fancy hotel room, Yeah.
Is that for a weekend?
People pay a lot of money.
180 per person for the whole weekend or per night?
That's night.
Fuck.
Yeah, because my friend was like, I think it costs about £400 and for the weekend, and I thought that's all right. And then it was like 5, but then it's like, yeah, actually, I think it's probably more like 6 something. And I'm like, so yeah, it works out about £300 a night. So between the 2 adults, it's like, yeah. So people spend a lot of money on these things. People, I mean, me and my friends always look into doing little group activities together, and it always has. I mean, it's an outdoor space. There's lots of activities for the children. Obviously, there's yoga. There's healthy food. They've got lots of things on site. It's obviously right by the coast. But the model you're talking about, I've seen it. I've experienced it. We partake in it, and there's lots of people earning these salaries that want to escape from the thing that we've talked about. To these kind of sanctuaries. Right. So, but not quite the model you've got, or not in the structural capacity that you're talking about. These are just tents, right?
Cool. But I mean, ours are essentially just tents,
I know, but they look cooler, don't they?
A little bit cooler looking.
Like beehives.
And the materials are all, really, they are non-toxic. So like they get fungusy unless you wash them down. I need to work on that. I'm going to put some like use something in it or something, because a new batch we've got here. Hopefully they don't get fungusy. We keep trying new iterations of the materials, but I think like if you were to be like, well, I want to get a bit of land and do a green camp on it, and with your amazing organizational knowledge, you can just tell Charlie what to do. Be like, all right, Charlie, you need to make this better. You need to make that better. You need to do this. Why haven't you done that? This is how this is happening. And then I can run around, because I'm quite productive, and I can, once I get onto something and I know it's going to be useful, I'll like just like go for it. I'm a bit slow. It takes me time to do stuff normally. I think actually, no, I'm not. I just do quite a lot of stuff. But I mean, this seems like that's the opportunity, I think, to make it a long-term kind of project where it's a lifestyle kind of thing. Like, all right, I would like a bit of land with this being a cash cow, and then I can do whatever programs and other stuff. So if you had a green campus and you had your nice farmhouse, what kind of programs would you do at your green campus?
Oh,
Are
what would I do?
you into meditation?
I try it regularly.
That's really into it.
It's probably something that's so I do a lot of mindfulness. I've done mindfulness courses, I've done Ashtanga yoga. Actual meditation is something that I've really struggled with personally.
Me too.
And in all the mindfulness training that I've gone on, they've kind of talked about meditation as in it, you can interpret it in different ways, right? So, you know, to be mindful is obviously it can be achieved through going for a walk or by sitting in nature, or, you know, there's various different, you don't have to be sat in a room very quiet and still and silent, you know. So I'm very mindful. Meditation is something that is on the list of things to master.
Gosh, that takes a lot to master it. It takes many lifetimes.
To be able to do it for more than 5 minutes, to me, is mastering it.
Okay, cool. Master one breath.
Yeah.
All the way in, all the way out without losing concentration. You're a master of one breath. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me. But again, it's something that just intrigues me. And again, every time I look at things, meditation just keeps coming up time and time again, time and time again. Every book I read, every video I watch, everyone just keeps coming back to meditation. Obviously, mindfulness as well is obviously a huge part of that. So God, what would I want on mine? So I'm quite into things like I was talking about, the kayaking, water sports, activities as such as well. I think it's good to have a mix. I think it's good to have the downtime and the calmness, but I think sometimes, especially as a resort for people, you know, with stressful jobs, working in cities, I think sometimes they want to let off a bit of steam. You know,
quite often they want to just be left alone as well. They don't want too many.
Of course.
Yeah.
But you'd give them options, wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah, there's
booking. You know, there's track A or track B, or you can do a combination track C. You know,
yeah,
do a bit of this.
There's a booking layer system I'm trying to integrate into the website, so you can book just a room, or you can. I want to rent a bicycle. I want to rent a kayak. I want to rent a paddleboard. I want to rent a surfboard. Add all these things, and you schedule it. It's a really good booking system.
Yeah.
It needs me to sit down.
I think as well, I'd probably want to incorporate vegan cooking courses, because again, it's something that I've got friends that have gone on them, and the stuff they produce is phenomenal, and I'm not at that level.
Yummy.
I have to purchase and buy in if I'm going to do that. So I think vegan cookery courses would be good.
Yummy.
Again, I know. Is that something you do then already?
Well, I'm quite into remedial nutrition. I'm meeting one of my friends on Saturday about. She started a company called A Positive Juice. And so she's supplying hospitals with raw vegetable juice to all the cancer wards and stuff, to filter out all the shit and replace all the deficiency, so the body can heal itself rather than being full of toxic crap and completely devoid of nutrition, particularly when you're eating hospital food. And she's cleaning out cancer wards, you know, just people are paying her loads to just supply them with, essentially, you know, the chlorophyll in plants is molecularly identical to the hemoglobin in your blood. So chlorophyll photosynthesizes, exhaling oxygen as its waste product to create energy for the plant. And we inhale that oxygen, and our hemoglobin, which is a big donut molecule, identical to chlorophyll, you swap the magnesium out in the middle of the chlorophyll donut, replace it with iron, and it turns from being chlorophyll to hemoglobin. So this total mirror, this symbiosis of our outward breath and their inward breath, literally being each other's energy source, divine harmony. That's that makes us into one sort of super organism. If only we could be as super as the plants, and live in symbiosis truly in the plant kingdom, which is where we can set an example of longevity and health. According to the data, as I said, doing these conferences at Parliament, we would present the data that how vegans die of all the worst degenerative diseases about 10% as frequently as people eating animal product diets, and the raw food plant-based diets for treating people with degenerative disease is that's my program I've always wanted to do. If I had a campus, that would be the thing. And so cooking the food breaks down a lot of these nutrients. So keeping it as raw as possible is my vegan cooking weekend would be as raw as possible. I love it. Have you ever tried a raw food diet?
I have in the past, both for me and my dogs actually. And when I learned of the benefits, it was something that I did for a while. But again, it's sustaining it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the lifestyle, it's all to do with convenience. And I think if we want to overcome that challenge, we need to make it as convenient and easy as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I completely agree and sold on the benefits.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm also, I eat conveniently and I eat filth all the time. I just eat terribly. I'm trying not to be such a convenient chap.
There's not a lot else to do at the moment in lockdown.
Oh,
Pass
no.
the time. We can't go out. We can't do stuff.
Well, look, is there anything else? I mean, I'd love to know a bit more about like how you work and like what you do, but it's 1 o'clock now. I've already taken an hour of your time. Maybe should we have a bit of a think about things and then try and have another chat a bit later on when you have some time, and you can let me know what your thoughts are. If you're like, well, I'm kind of interested, or I think I need a proper job.
Absolutely. No, I think I'm going to go away. I'm going to digest everything we've talked about. I'm going to probably come up with some questions, and then you'll probably go and do the same. And I think if we schedule another call,
okay,
and then we'll thrash it out.
Cool.
All right.
There's one go. I've got to call up someone now, but there's one woman who organizes festivals. She's like done loads of festival organizing. And this is the problem, is I meet all these people and I'm like, great, I'll hire you, but you should be great. We should definitely work together, but I'm not sure I can actually afford to do that. So anyway, but because of this online reforestation festival, ideally I'd like to have someone just running it, and I can generate assets for them and artists for them and ideas for them and stuff. But once I've done that, it kind of can wash its own face. Everyone can keep it ticking along, which is what Robin and Misha also want to have too. And then we can focus on doing Reforestation Fest on the ground. Anyway, you can see it's a big mess. I'm terribly sorry.
It's a fascinating mess though.
It's really interesting, isn't it? It's really cool.
It's really bloody interesting.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you're interested, and I'm so grateful that you're there. I've got a recording of this meeting. I want to send it over to my sister's partner, his family used to own Stuyvesant cigarettes, and it's he who's like, let's get you with the COO. Sorry, that's really a bad introduction. His family used to own Stuyvesant cigarettes, but Tom has said, look, Dad, his dad's amazing. Started off working class Australian and just worked to become this amazing investor, buying all these amazing assets, which are all incredibly valuable financially, but ethically wrong. So Tom is like, I'm going to create a foundation and reinvest some of our money into stuff that helps the most needy people. And so I'm going to send this over and say, look, I think I found someone who might be interested in the job, is interested anyway. Something like, if you're working from home, and then if we're going to have a build party down here once a month, you can come in and meet everybody and stuff. But just like in the war office, like, hello.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm half the week. I'm as free as a bird.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So maybe a couple of days we could sit in an office and start to really hash things
100%.
out.
Yeah.
Really? From Reading, it's like an hour and a half to get here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I used to work the other side of like Eastern London. It took me an hour and 45 to get into London. Yeah, I'd be doing almost a 3-hour commute every day.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so
if we could do it every now and then, it would be quite good.
I think a couple of days a week.
Yeah. That's okay, that'll be so cool. Okay, then we'll be like professional people with an office.
I know. Part-time home working, part-time in the office.
Okay, well, I'll be all the time home working because my office is in the house. But okay, cool. And then we can try and find somewhere to buy. I want to buy this farm, but it's going to be underwater soon, so maybe that's a silly idea. I'll show you. Got another property on the other side here, but like, try and make a headquarters. I'm willing to mortgage that house out and take all the risk on it, because I think this is going to work. Okay.
It will.
All right. So let's email and organize another time for follow-up. Yeah. And we'll keep in touch on emails.
Wonderful. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Catch up soon.
All right, cool. Chat later.
See you later, Charles. Bye.
Bye.